We took a little break, but we're back covering the divisions, going division by division in the NBA. And on today's episode, we're actually going to go to the Northwest Division. Plus, we're going to talk about Steph Curry's new contract extension, all that and more right after this.
Welcome to the number one place for your daily basketball news and analysis, NBA Central.
What's going on, basketball fans? Welcome to another episode of NBA Central, your number one spot for everything basketball related. We got Stevo, Bobby, myself, Haize. We all in the building today, fellas, and we're gonna keep going division by division. But before we get into that, we do got news. Steph Curry today signed a 1-year contract extension at $62 million. This means that he will be with the Golden State Warriors, or at least on this contract, until the summer of 2027, which keeps him there. This is a huge contract. 1 year, $62 million. Shout out to Steph. How you guys feeling about this deal?
I feel good about it. Hey, they ain't giving you no better team. Might as well get the better bag. It is what it is. Ride out into the sunset with your bag. Go ahead and rack up on your points and all your other stats. It is what it is. You do reward a guy like that. I still believe in another 3 years. He still should be good enough. Probably not to the extent that he's at right now, at least, but he still should be good riding out into the sunset if he chooses to do so in 2020.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I got it from. He said, "Yeah, y'all got 1 more year with me, and y'all gonna pay me, goddamn it, and y'all gonna pay me well. I want to sell out under the bridge in my goddamn boat that I'm finna buy with this new contract. And thank y'all for everything y'all gave me. I did my services, but if you ain't gonna give me nobody to work with for me to even compete a little bit, all the money that you was gonna give for a Larry Markin or Zach Veen, give to me, and that's what happened."
Yeah. Now this theoretic, so Steph is still playing extremely well, right? I think a lot of people kind of thought maybe, and it could still come, a fall off could come at any time. We've seen it in the NBA. But do you think that the Golden State Warriors are going to use this to try to still put another run together, or do you think this is more so of a, hey, we're going to give you that last year, we're going to give you the money that you want, we're going to ride it out, we're going to let Kuminga, Moses Moody, these other guys develop, Trace Jackson Davis, who I do look alike a lot on this team, like, are they just going to let that ride out that way, or do you think they're going to try to put something together and maybe have another go at it?
I think they still gonna go at it, but I don't think they're gonna be able to do much. I mean, you got to be fearless with this. You know what I'm saying? And Steph Curry is one of those guys that you mortgage some of your future. You know what I'm saying? Just so you can eclipse another championship. He's already giving you 4. Why not go for a 5th one? And then you be like, hey, you can always go back, and good GMs can always go out, recoup, you know what I'm saying, some of those draft picks so they can build for the future. But right now, with these last few years of Steph's career, or if he could go longer, we don't know. But you got to be pushing the chips into the middle of the table, because I believe he's going to have a spectacular season this year. But it ain't going to result in a lot of wins because of the guys that surround him. But
Completely agree with that. Completely agree with that. And I mean, you never know what could happen. Like, if one of these young guys takes a huge step, and maybe that's something the Golden State Warriors are waiting for. Let's say Kuminga, who did take a step last year, let's say he takes it a step further next year, and then it's like, okay, maybe we do have a little window that could be open here, and then maybe they use that flexibility to then go out and make a move or something like that. But I think ultimately this is them taking care of Steph, which they should. They've already taken care of Dre. They let Klay Thompson get away, but they're trying to take care of their guys, and I wouldn't be surprised if Draymond and Steph kind of just ride off to the sunset together eventually, bro.
That's really what it is. With this massive deal, I don't know what more they can do to try to get them more to a contender. I mean, they're gonna try to fight as much as they can, but I still don't think they have enough with all the additions that OKC, the Mavs, New Orleans, like a lot of these Western teams has gotten better, and they was already better than the Warriors in the last previous years. So I don't know what more they can do. Like I said, if you want to go mortgage off the ones which they've just been reluctant to do, I doubt that they're going to do it now that the season's almost on its way. But yeah, I think they're just going to ride it out. They did what they did. They tried to do what they tried to do in the offseason. They wasn't able to make any big moves happen. So yeah, they just going to ride it off. They did what they tried, and it is what it is.
that's a fact.
Yeah, I think that's just what it comes down to. Like they tried to do what they tried to do. I mean, they had a great run. Probably the closest. No, I mean, you got to say they had a dynasty. It's not
They
a
did.
Yeah, it's a
traditional
dynasty
dynasty,
for
but they
sure.
had a dynasty, and it's probably the only thing closest to that as far as a modern dynasty would be what. Is it the Miami Heat? Even though they only won 2 titles, like what's the closest thing to a dynasty other than the Golden State Warriors?
Saying it, I'm
And
about to
re-
say San
San
Antonio.
Antonio, the Spurs.
Yeah, San Antonio. That's what they remind me of. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, San Antonio.
So, shout out to Steph there. He's getting his money. I know there's some rumors that he could end up with the Los Angeles Lakers. Please don't let that happen. Thank you very much.
It will be
that
excited to
shit
see
gonna
though.
be so glad. It will be cool to see, but that shit just gonna be every single day. It's just gonna be. They gonna have at least 5 of the plays that's in the top 10 on SportsCenter every night.
That's a fact. But you know what I let me not say worry, but you remember when, because to me, what that would remind me of is when Gary Payton and Karl Malone went to the Lakers.
Right.
And that
Bruh.
didn't go the way that they thought it was gonna go, is all I'm
No,
saying.
it did
So
not
But
go
they,
as
I'm gonna
planned.
say Gary was at the end. Carl was definitely at the end. I don't think it'd be exactly the same.
I'm not saying exactly. I'm just saying it kind of
Yeah,
reminds me of that a little bit.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
it is what it is. Let's get into this, man. We're going division by division. We've been making our way through it in the NBA, and now we have landed with the Northwest Division. We're going to start off with the OKC Thunder here in this division. Of course, they have what I think is an MVP caliber player coming into the season in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's one of my favorite players in the NBA, not on my Chicago Bulls, but I look at Shai and I think that in a lot of ways, if Shai takes his game another step further, just a little bit, there absolutely can be contenders in the Western Conference Finals every single year. They've made major additions this offseason. The only player that they lost really was Josh Giddey. They added Alex Caruso. They added Isaiah Hartenstein. They got one of the up and coming players in Nikola Topic as well in this draft. We know he's going to be hurt, but like they had a very solid offseason for a team that was already extremely deep. They just added more and more firepower to it. How you guys feeling about the OKC Thunder?
Oh, I think these guys got the potential to be number 1 or 2 in the Western Conference this season. I believe that now that these guys went out there and resigned some of their own, like guys like Isaiah Joe, and then the additions that you mentioned, these guys are pretty much stacked in the Western Conference. And we're gonna talk about some of the other teams that's within in this division, in my opinion, that I feel like they lost a lot when it came to some of those moves. But this team right here with OKC, especially with how it ended in the playoffs, they got some skin in the game now. Now they know what it takes to win, multiple series within the playoffs. They should be good to go. You know what I'm saying? And then, yeah, I think they should be good to compete and be number 1 and number 2 in the West.
Same. Like I like the usually when teams finish as high as they do in the West, they don't normally get better, and they got significantly better. Like what you said with Joe coming into the team, AC coming to the team, and the people around them, SGA, the Williams, they ain't gonna do nothing but get even more better. So Chet, like I think a lot of people kind of forget about Chet. Like he's
Yeah,
one of those dudes that can take a significant step that we not even thinking about. So
exactly.
um I still see them being around the same thing when they finish 1, 2 in the West, probably even better because I'm expecting to be one of the best defensive teams in the West. So yeah, they did what most franchises can't do when they're on top. So hey, I like all the additions that they made this offseason.
Yeah,
Sure.
I mean, for a team that was already on the top, they made some really cute, like getting Isaiah Hartenstein to that team and having it. Chet's already talked about him now moving potentially to that 4 position there to play with Hartenstein. Like that could be
Yep.
just. And Chet's, I mean, he's not even nearly done with his game. I mean, he's just really getting started. So to even see the leap that Chet could take that team
Uh-huh.
in a whole different direction as well. So I really look at this OKC Thunder team as the team to kind of watch. But there's other teams in this division as well that you got to watch out for that could have great seasons. Even one that made their way to the Western Conference Finals last year, and that is the Minnesota Timberwolves. When you look at this Timberwolves team, they didn't do a whole lot when it came down to changes. They did add Rob Dillingham, who could be their guard of the future there, as well as Joe Ingles. They lost Kyle Anderson. How you guys feeling about the Timberwolves?
I like what the Timberwolves did. They retained their guys. And then they added some nice young pieces like Dillingham, and then Terrence Shannon Jr. as well is another nice young player that I believe is going to add more depth to it. I believe Anthony Edwards, outside of the dumbass comment that he said when he said that the only skilled guy in the 90s was Mike. I love Anthony Edwards, but bro, show respect to the damn game and stop playing.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, this is the team that I think is going to be competing at the top with OKC, just because all of the experience that they got. Six man of the year with Naj Reed. And yeah, they should be in good hands, bro. They should be in good hands.
I
Yeah, I
almost
think
forgot
they
about
did.
the acquisition of Terrence Shannon Jr. as well, because that could play off
Yeah.
really big for
I
them. Go
like
ahead,
that.
brother.
Yeah, that's why I said I don't think they needed to do a big significant. Everybody on this course pretty much young, coming into their prime, or it well, Ed ain't nowhere near his prime, but he's playing like a motherfucker. So you got that Nas Reed coming off the best year of his career. Um, we got like at if you really think about it, this was a breakout year when it comes to this team.
Mhm.
You had
Yeah.
Ant having the year that he had. You're bringing in a young point guard, which they already had a solid point guard in Mike Conley there anyway. So not only that, you got the now and the future in your front court, and then you bring in somebody that was possibly supposed to be a top 10 pick into Sharon Jr. can change everything for this franchise. So
It's
I
crazy,
like
man.
everything they did. I like everything they did. They didn't necessarily make the big moves, but they made some silent moves, and it was in a lot of people's saying that they had the best draft in the whole draft. So I liked everything they did. I think they're gonna be around the top three like they did last year, and yeah, they're gonna be one of the best alongside with OKC. If not, they're probably the best defensive team in the West, let alone the league.
It's wild when you add a rookie and that rookie automatically becomes the eighth oldest player on your roster. Like that's
It's
crazy.
crazy.
That's
Show you how
crazy, bro.
young they are.
Yeah, but that's a very young team. But like,
It's
yeah, the
crazy.
acquisition of Terrence Shannon Jr., especially for a team that could have used some extra scoring punches there. We know what they can be defensively. Then now there's some questions around: does Karl Anthony Towns make it to the end of the season with the Minnesota Timberwolves? Do you guys think that that is a move that they could explore at some point this season, depending on how it goes?
I mean, I think it's something that you can explore, but for right now, I would say don't panic. A lot of teams they get in their own way by panicking. And I say right now, don't panic. Don't let narratives creep into what your beliefs are. Like, cause we could say that, yeah, it can look better, but sometimes the grass not always green on the other side. And we know that Karl Anthony Towns with this team got them to the Western Conference Finals. Who's to say if he stick around another year or so? You know what I'm saying? Depending on how it looks going into this season, he can possibly help push things further. You know, your star is Anthony Edwards. He does need a good supporting cast as well. So don't panic.
That's a fact, man.
Yeah, I say the same thing because we all know how talented this guy really is, and we seen the significant games that he brought to this team, and it brought him out a lot of situations, especially in the playoffs. And it's just a mental thing with him. So I feel like if you can just unlock that dude to be the best version of himself, because we all know if he has the of bigs, he has top three talent. He can do everything when it comes to it. So I'm staying fast with it. I'm just letting it breathe because you never know how the course of the season is gonna go. But then again, like if it comes down to it's time to have that uncomfortable conversation. You have people on this team like a Nas Reed and Jaden McDaniels who's still young enough and who can turn over a new leaf at any time. So yeah, and like to me, it's a good predicament to be in either way it goes because you're going to get something valuable out of it either way.
That's a great
For
point.
sure.
That's a great point. We'll see. Next up on this list in this division, the Denver Nuggets. Now, this is a team that since winning the title, they've really continually lost some really key role players. This past one, losing KCP off that team, they lost him and Reggie Jackson. They added Russell Westbrook and Dario Saric. No really other key acquisitions other than that. This was a team that against the better teams in the league, against top 10 defenses, I'm sorry, top 10 offenses in the league, they had the second best defense. This is still a team that can still go on a deep run. You got Jokic there, you got Jamal Murray, you got that core that's been together for a long time and has won a title together. How do you guys feel about the Denver Nuggets going into 2024-25?
I'm a little shaky with them. I ain't gonna lie to you. I know that they feel good about Christian Brown and all those guys, and you know some of the young talent that they brought through on the squad. But I feel like some of that they lost some championship pedigree. You know what I'm saying? the 2 years ago losing Bruce Brown, and then this season losing KCP. I feel like they lost some of their championship pedigree. And then I got questions in regards to Jamal Murray. I understand that he was dealing with a little calf injury during the Olympics, but if it ain't the Lakers, he ain't been that good. You know what I'm saying? These, in the postseason and then in the Olympics, you know what I'm saying? To where people started to create their own fake narratives to like, hey, Shae said this. It wasn't true. We came to find that out. But it still could have had you a little ticked off in regards to what happened in the Olympics, because I really thought that they could make some noise in the Olympics, and it was just a bit disappointing. But I do overall, when I come to what I think about them, I think they might take a few steps back. I ain't gonna say they not gonna be in the playoffs, but I don't expect them to be in the top four of the Western Conference like years past.
Yeah, I'm going the same path. Like losing Bruce Brown and losing KCP, especially KCP, I think it is a nice little blow that they're going to take that they're not really prepared for. And I'm gonna say this: like, in order for them to be the Denver Nuggets that we expected to be, which is in championship form, they gonna have to get the rush that we all think they gonna have to get. Because if rush don't work out, I don't know if it's gonna look the same. Because I don't even think that starting court can only do too much. Because KCP was a nice piece on that bench where if we needed a quick 12, 10 to 12 points, he was that guy. And Bruce Brown was that guy as well. So with both of them gone, yeah, Christian Brown has shown a little Bruce Brown in him, yeah, but he still has to prove that. Russ, I feel like Russ can work on this team, but when it comes to Russ at this point of his career, still one of my favorite players. You just got to see if it fits,
Yeah.
because he's in this point of career. Like, theoretically, he can fit with any team. It just has to work in a certain way. So if it's coming off the bench and you're just allowing him to be Russ, I think it can help them significantly. As well as them losing Reggie Jackson, I feel like that's another blow to him. That even though he kind of slipped in minutes towards the end of his tenure there, I just feel like they took a lot of. They're gonna take a step or two back, like Bobby just said. Just they your key role glue guys, you can't take it for granted, especially with championships team, especially when that championship team is not like a traditional. Well, it's not even traditional, like a modern version of big teams with multiple all stars. That was not the type of team that they had.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, one thing that we've seen throughout the last couple of playoffs is role players matter. Like when you look at
Facts.
the Dallas Mavericks and their run, role players mattered in that run.
PJ.
So yeah, it's big. And so when you constantly lose role players that have been in your system and things like that for a while, like it's hard to replenish that, not just because of the talent level, but also because of how they fit with your star players, how they fit on your team overall. So when you change that makeup of that team, it's not always easy to just recoup that, even if you get some solid talent. So seeing how Russ fits in here, I think is going to be really important because he could become a really good role player and bench player for them. And I guess we'll just see what happens with the Denver Nuggets. Another
Yeah.
team that a lot of was in a lot of trade talks this offseason of possibly moving Walker Kessler and Laurie Markkinen, and they end up right as of right now having both of those pieces. They extend Laurie Markkinen, so he cannot be traded in the 2024-25 season, so they're stuck with him. They do add Cody Williams in the draft. They lose Chris Dunn. This was an interesting team last year, 31-51. They had some really good stretches in that time. They scored 13.2 points per 100 possessions, better at home. There was a really good home team, but was bad on the road. How do you guys feel about this Utah Jazz team?
I feel like they're just gonna be a young up and coming team that's gotta go through some growing pains, and I believe they're gonna win some games. You know what I'm saying? Young teams typically they are able to sometimes overachieve, and I believe that these guys have the chance to do so. But I feel like they kind of locked themselves into a situation with re-signing Larry Marketing, when I believe you already trying to rack up on the young talent, why not? But then at the same time, we got to see what the vision is, because they do have some solid young players that they can, grow with. I like Kyle Filipowski. You know what I'm saying? He is a rookie. We got to see what he going to be able to do. Jordan Clarkson is your sixth man off the bench. You know, he's a bucket. Walker Kessler, he been solid defensively. So I kind of understand the other side of, why you signed Lowry Market into this. I don't think they make a lot of noise, but they won't be a slouch.
Fair, fair.
I don't know. I kind of feel like they're in between two directions that they're not really necessarily trying to take. So, if, from a business standpoint, I'm just letting them have their season and hoping kind of for the worst. So you can try to see if you could get your nails into some of these players that's coming out in the draft. Because I feel like if they're able to get a top four pick somehow, that's a player they can have in the future. Because I just see down the road there's gonna come a time where they're gonna end up trading Larry Marketing. It is what it is. We've seen this with so many teams when they're young, but not that young, and they have a lot of players that's still on the squad that's kind of in win now mode, and they're not in the right position to win right now. So
Right.
I feel like it's gonna come a time where we're probably not gonna see um like I said, we like Kyle Filipowski, we like the young players that got Keontae George, but like I said, they got Colin. Don't really mess with the young people with like Keontae George and a Kyle Filipowski. You still got a John Collins, who I think is gonna you ain't gonna see what Cal can be because John Collins is right there. So yeah, I feel like you're at a point where you need to make a direction. So until then, you're just gonna be stuck in the middle. Like, well, yeah, you're gonna win probably 35 to 40, maybe 40 games. I say probably like 35 to 38. But yeah, I think they need to pick a direction. And if I'm them, I'm hoping for them to play as best as they can, not win as much, so we could get a top pick, and that could be our guy. And it can fit with the timeline of a Keontae George and a Kyle Filipowski.
For sure.
For sure. For sure. All right. Anything left on the Jazz before we move on to the last team in the division?
No, sir.
Hey, if
All
y'all
right,
want to
let's.
move with Walker Kessler, we'll take him. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, listen, yeah,
That's
we'll
a fact.
definitely still take
That's a
Walker
fact.
Kessler.
That's a fact.
The last team in the division, which I feel like this might as well be Brooklyn Nets West, is the Portland Trail Blazers.
Ugh.
They lost Malcolm Brogdon. They added Denny Advia, Donovan Clingan as well, who I actually do like Donovan Clingan a lot. I like him for this
I do.
roster as well, as far as like development, right? But like as far as like them winning basketball games, hey, listen, I
They're
don't know
winning
about
15
y'all.
games.
I'd be surprised if they win 18 games this season. I'm not even going to front on you.
Sheesh. I can see it too. It's just too many what ifs right here, and just not a. It's just right now that all these young guys, they just so young, and they don't have those different makers right now. Difference makers right now. I mean, we like Anthony Simon, Shader Sharp, his athletic ability. We still trying to see if Scoot, you know what I'm saying, could continue to improve. And with the additional picks, it's just a very, very young squad. And I think you summed it up the right way, Haize, by calling them the Brooklyn Nets of the West, because it's just one of those. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I feel bad for Chauncey. It's like being the goddamn high school teacher, and then you got demoted down to the goddamn kindergarten. You just do kids. You with a bunch of kids where they're like it's just like a team full of delinquents. You don't know how we gonna get this group to work. Like you ever get that class? Like, damn, it's gonna be a long ass year with these motherfuckers.
Man,
That's what
look,
I look at when I see this team. So yeah, I'd be surprised if they win 17 games, 15 games.
Yeah,
sheesh.
it's ugly, man. That's all I can say. Like it's ugly for this
Appreciate it,
team.
chart.
Yeah, it's I'm sorry. I I like to come in here and provide some positive. I mean, growth. That's definitely something that they can focus on this season. That's what they need to be focused on the most is growth of these young guys. Scoot Henderson, who finished the season kind of stronger than he started because it was looking rough for him to start. Still got
Yeah,
Shaden Sharp down there. You still got some players. Henry Drell. Did y'all know Henry Drell was on the Portland Trail Blazers?
yeah.
Did not.
He ain't
Oh.
gonna do shit though.
But another thing to look out for this team is how they help. I think the biggest thing, this team is going to get poached by teams looking for some help. You got Jeremy Grant, you got Thibault, you got Robert Williams. These are all players, DeAndre Ayton, that could be moved at some point this season to go to a team that
Anthony
needs the skill
Simons.
set of Anthony Simons to go to a team that needs some of that skill set. And that may be the most exciting thing to happen from the Trailblazers team. And make no mistake about it, I'm a Bulls fan. It actually helps us if the Portland Trailblazers are good, because then we can get their pick. We ain't getting that
Right.
pick. We ain't getting
Ain't
it.
getting it.
Yeah,
So
We ain't
fair.
getting that one, bro.
no, they ain't happening, bro. So
It ain't. Yeah, they best bet if they just need Shaden to have an ant year. That's their best bet. They need Shaden to have to develop into a superstar. Like I don't see them. There's no hope over there. It's gloom and doom.
It is. I do feel bad for Chauncey, man.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't get to be JJ Redick or Steve Nash.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for him in a way as well because, like, at the end of the day, like Chauncey Billups came to this team at a time where not a lot of people would. And I think we need to be honest about that, right? Like, this is a job. You took this job. Dame was still technically on this team when he took the job. We all kind of expected that wasn't gonna stay the case. And when it just comes down to it, like they decided to go a direction, and it's his job to try to mold these young guys. And maybe there's a little excitement in that for him as getting having the ability and the chance to kind of mold some of these young players. But I hope that you're following solace in that because ain't shit else coming, my boy.
For
And they got
real.
Delano Banty. Yeah, this gonna be a rough time over there. They got some rejects over there.
You talking about rejects?
They all rejects, bro. Like,
Ain't no way,
bro. I don't know what to say about it, man.
Me either.
All I know is they season tickets, motherfucker. They turning them bitches in at a quick rate.
Hell yeah, bro. I mean, what else they gonna do? Like, let's be honest here. What the fuck else they gonna do, bro? Like, don't nobody want to. You gonna have to pay people to come to that game. Y'all remember back like when the Clippers were bad and like they was like handing out tickets. Like, you just can just walk in there and it's like, oh, you want a ticket? Like that's what it's gonna be.
Yeah, it's gonna be like before Miami was Miami when you could get tickets at Burger King.
Yeah, that's ugly. That's ugly, bro. If you got was it the Bulls? It was a team last year, probably the Detroit Pistons. You know they stink. They probably was giving away $25 tickets too.
Yeah,
Oh
it
yeah,
was
I remember
Detroit.
that.
Was it the Bulls?
Yeah, I remember.
It was somebody.
Y'all don't remember Detroit last season where if they all they had to do was like win a game at home and everybody was getting free wings. They didn't get that until almost January.
I would have been blue. I had to wait all this time to go get my wings.
Hey, I know they did it. Somebody dropped the Keith Lee like, I got my wings. This shit was trash. I waited 4 years
I got my
for this
wings.
fucking
This shit was trash. We waited 4 years for these wings. This shit was whack. But yeah, man.
That's
for sure.
That's funny.
We're gonna pray for y'all.
Yeah, pray for him. Pray for him. But that's our coverage of that Northwest division, man. We're gonna keep going. We got a couple more divisions to get to over the course of this. Fellas, any last thoughts before we get up out of here for today?
I ain't got nothing. I said what I had to say about
that's what
Anthony
happens
Edwards. You bogus.
When you end on Portland, it's hard to have any type of thoughts afterwards, man. But we want to thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you guys are following us at NBA Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, NBA Central Show at gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We're the number one spot for everything basketball related. I'll see you guys next time, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.